Roles of a denizen. A content creator is a user that creates posts and is rewarded based on the quality of their content. A content evaluator is a user that helps assess the quality of content and enforces community standards. The evaluator is effectively taking part in a marketplace to curate content and is rewarded for early evaluation. A content consumer is a user that wishes to find and consume the most valuable content in a given subject area or within a community. A lair owner is a person holding tokenized ownership of all or part of a community lair. Owners are rewarded with a portion of all mining activity happening within their lair. Owners are incentivized to build the best community of content creators and evaluators.
We've got some, oh, my face is super tiny. That's probably for the best. We've got some basic announcements to put out, and then I want to talk about sort of what is churning at the moment. So let's jump right into it. As usual, if you let me zoom in here so you can see the words a little bit better. Over on the DENDAO layer, which you can find by going to Den.Social, clicking on layers and then scrolling down to where you find the DENDAO layer, or just den.social/l/DENDAO, you'll see the agenda is posted in there, and there's a link where you can join this call. So this join StreamYard link, that'll pop you right in here to the lobby to chat with me if you have any questions about what's up. You can also chime in just like in YouTube chat. You can throw a comment in the reply section and I'll refresh and get to it. We're doing this a little bit earlier than usual because schedules are all over the place right now. And this is the time that worked. So it's January, it's 24. It's the first call of the year, right? Is this the first one? Anyway, new year, some new things to talk about. But first, one of the recurring things, we'll get to the commitment phase for January that is currently underway. So if you go, if you're on Den and you come over here and you click on this icon with a check mark in the circle, it'll pop you into the current voting phase for layers. These are created every month. There are about 4 days left in this cycle to vote on it. As you use Den, just with your everyday usage, you will receive reward points called lore, which you can use to vote on layers. One caveat, there's been an issue for like the last week where that hasn't been as reliable, but it's being actively worked on. We'll get it sorted out and all of the backlog will be cleared and you'll get what you deserve. But let's look at the winners, or the potential winners. So this will close out in 4 days. And then as we do, we'll pick one from each category. There's 2 categories. One is unique voters. So if you look at the unique voters item listed here, you'll see it's ordered by descending, and 28, 27, 26, 25, we're neck and neck on the top 5 here. 24, 23, 22, 21. They're all right in there. In the past, these have been separated out by a pretty good like measure, and you could sort of predict which one was going to win, but it's anyone's game. So it could be any of these. I'm going to make sure I've got a little bit of lore in each one of them. You can see I do already. I might move some out of 3D printing and into biohacking or book club, just because I like those more personally. Let's see who proposed these before we go to the other category. Looks like this one, 3D printing, was proposed by Cryptic Age back in 21. So this one's been on the list for a while, and it's finally getting itself up to the top spot. Cool little animated GIF, which is the proper pronunciation. That reminds me of old PC games. I wonder what that's from. Getting off topic though, let's go back and look at the other ones. So 3D printing. I've actually been looking into what it would cost to get a house printed recently, because I might be in the market. I don't know. Seems like a cool application of it. And then anti-work. I don't know if I promote. Who proposed that? Was that me? I know one of us. Nope. This is, how do you pronounce this? Sebedingus proposed anti-work. This was proposed, if you remember back when the subreddit got banned on Reddit, the anti-work subreddit. I think this was the inspiration for the proposal here. Similarly, I know that there was a community for that was pro Donald Trump that got banned, and so somebody proposed and created a layer on Den. I'm a proponent for getting anything banned from Reddit proposed on Den, just because I don't like banning entire communities of people. So that's kind of where this one came from, I believe. So back in 21 and then 22 was this one. Joe, hey, welcome to the call. We're just going over some of the layers that are up for voting. And it
My
looks like
alarm didn't go off, so apologies.
Yeah, blame technology.
Yeah.
The technologist blames technology.
Always.
So yeah, we're just talking about getting. I think that the timing of this proposal and back in the beginning of 22 was when anti-work got banned from Reddit. Is what I was saying when you popped in there. Similar to the what was the Trump one called when they got banned?
The Donald, right?
The Donald, yeah. And I was, as you were coming in, I was saying I love seeing communities proposed as they get banned from Reddit. Just
and we did
put it here.
We do have the Donald, right, or at least an equivalent.
We have. I think it ended up being called something else. Let's see. I'm going to click on this group of people here.
Though. I don't know why I think.
Is it called the Donald?
It might be.
It should be, right? So I'm on a real computer, so I'm going to say Donald. Yeah, the Donald. Right. The Donald's in here.
Yeah, so we do need an anti-work, right? That is a good point. So
yeah.
I'm going to go. I want to check my vote on that.
Yeah, I want the banned liberal communities here. I want the banned conservative communities here. I want the banned aliens. I want the people that have dinosaurs that live in the middle of the earth to be here.
Yep.
I want, because honestly, that's a much more fascinating world than I live in. So I'd love to hear all about it.
Yeah.
I
want the dogs. I want the cats.
The
Zionists and the Nazis.
Yeah, me too. And to be clear, they within those communities, they can ban the bad stuff themselves and handle that. I'm not saying we want bad stuff here. Nope, I'm just saying that we want a place for the conversation as long as it's not terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were probably going over tops, right?
I was going over layers. And this is unique voters. If you notice, they're very close. 28, 27, 26, 25, 24.
Nice.
23. 22.
And I'm already in all. I can't affect any more the unique voters on it. Well, I guess I could pull out of one of them or something, but yeah.
Yep.
I'm not.
Yeah, I try to do that too. And then lore side, whistleblower is in the lead, very much so, bigly, at 1.5 million lore committed.
Yeah.
And somehow I don't have any. Why would I not have anything in that?
Oh boy.
Let's give a little demo. So I'm in dark mode, which is an undocumented feature of Den. And if you hit the little button here, I can vote. So I have what's in here, 1.5 million. I like to keep it under 10%.
That'd be smart.
What I usually do is I just go in. I don't like math, so I just hit 1 and I start hitting zeros. And at the bottom, you see it says your share. It'll start counting up. Oh, that's 40. That's way too much. So I'll back off again and I'll say, that's pretty good right there. And then I'll vote. And that's how I do it.
And you know what? I need to withdraw because I had way too much of that. I put it in thinking we would win last time, not because I wanted more, but because I thought we needed the whistleblower one, right? So now there's only 805,000. I had a lot in there.
Oh,
right?
okay. So my share just went up. Nice.
Yeah, and it's number 2 right now. So, but I'm going to put. Let's see here. What do I need?
Okay. So I was wrong when I said it was an uncomfortable lead. That was because there was a whale in there who was tipping the scales.
Refresh again.
Showed you cards.
Now it's still, it's probably, it's more
cool.
reasonable.
Yeah.
So
right. And mine that's perfect. Mine went up to just under 10%, which is right where I like it.
Right on.
That's great.
Right on.
Cool. So if we were to take the snapshot now, it would be whistleblowers and 3D printing would be the winners. All right. I wanted to briefly mention the second. So good timing, Joe. I want to talk to you specifically anyway. There's a handful of stuff that could be done with a minimal amount of work on Den. So this bullet item here is just housekeeping, and we have a guest coming. There's no timeline yet, where we just want to make sure that we roll out the welcome mat and make sure things are working properly before their community goes live. And without really talking about who that is or trying to hype it up too much or any of that, just like when someone's coming over to visit, clean up the house a little bit and make sure things are going good. So one of those things for myself would be to get the metrics script working.
Yes.
I have, we've talked about it in the past. I've drugged my feet on it. I have made all kinds of excuses about why I'm busy and haven't done it. Meanwhile, I've put in 30 hours of time on Starfield playing Bethesda's video games. So really it's just excuses and I need to just do it. So I have time. I just haven't done it.
Cool.
And what I need to do is just fix the logic. Long story short, I wrote it before I truly understood how joins work in SQL.
Yeah.
And so I've got a lot of full outer joins or left joins or right joins that should be a different join. And that's the only reason that it's kind of not in a state where there's at least a CSV file that you could download that's snapshotted every day, every week, whatever we decided. I have to go back and look at our notes because I don't want to put it out there if it's wrong. It's pointless if it's wrong.
That's going to be nice because people will be able to actually do the analysis in a spreadsheet and do charts and whatever else with real data. It'd be nice. So.
Yeah. And if we get that going now, give it a little bit of time to, my thinking is give it some time to create a history, a trend, and then we can really better measure new community impact, right? So not just special cases, but for the LCP every month, I would like to see okay, are there temporary spikes that go away? Are some new layers that get created? Do you get a more lasting metrics bump? Changes. Right. Do people run away? If somebody makes a Nazi board, do we lose everybody? Things like that we can look into and see what are the actual effects of this. So that's on my short list. I know that there is some work that needs to be done on lure farming. I expect that'll be fixed pretty soon, if not already. I just want to make sure that there's no little things like the lot that gets created on the Ethernet, Ethernet, the Ethereum side is caught up to date, and all those things, so that new communities will have a fresh house to walk into, that kind of thing. And I think Joe had to pull off for a second, but that's what this is. And so if you're listening back on this and you have some ideas like not new features, not we need different functionality, but things we've either already talked about that we were going to do that are almost done that we can just finish, things that haven't been done in a while that we should restart, or things that we should look into, like I know some of the layers have the default tags still aren't in some of them. Like there's probably 1 or 2 layers that don't have the wrong layer tag, for example. You know what I mean? So I could pretty easily just run a script that looked for all to make sure that every layer has at least the default tags in them. Little stuff like that. Mr. C, what's up? Good morning.
Yeah, Melbourne,
Australia. Melbourne. I'm from Florida. We have a city called Melbourne.
Oh, and it's not Melbourne.
It's not Melbourne.
Wow.
No, we're from the deep south. We came Melbourne. Going down to Melbourne.
Awesome. So. Yeah, we have in Kansas. There is an El Dorado. It's not El Dorado.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
when I was in the Navy, I lived in Norfolk or Norfolk.
Norfolk.
Right?
That's probably my least favorite spelling of a city for that reason. Norfolk. I already have trouble saying folk.
Yeah.
How are you folks?
Well, lucky for you, nobody says it that way that lives there. It's Norfolk. Norfolk,
really?
Norfolk, wow. and then there's Portsmouth, which is right next door. That whole area there, but that's called Portsmouth. Like you sit on the front porch.
No way.
Portsmouth.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how you say it, man. That's how you say it. Yeah, dialect. There's a good layer, dialect.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Speaking of, there is an Australia layer. Was it Mr. C? What was the name?
Mr. C.
Mr. C. There's a layer on Den called Australia, and I'm going to segue for a second into this because I have an offer for you, sir.
Yes, it's a standing offer, I think, right?
Yeah, it's a standing offer. I had a couple of almost takers, but I have a problem. And the problem is that I own way too much of it. Right? I'm right up here at the top. Mm-hmm. So I would like to be somewhere comfortably in the middle because, as I said, I'm from Florida. I don't deserve to be the holder. So BMT is an Aussie. I know that there's at least maybe 2 Australians in this that are owners of this. But if you create an account on Den, and you post in the Australia layer. Now you have to hit this button that says subscribe in the top to be allowed to post in there. But if you post in the Australia layer and you say, hey, some dude named Dave said he'd give me some ownership if I came in here and did this, I'll literally give you some ownership, and that'll let you like change things. You can change the decorations. You can like take over the place if you want.
They're NFTs, right?
They're NFTs. Yep.
And
so
you probably should
own it, and they are. It's a finite. It's 3 million of them, but there's a finite supply. You can't make any more. So you can only get them from people that already have them. And I like Australia.
You should probably require them. 2 things, 2 ideas. You could require them to prove that they're in Australia somehow, take a picture or something that we could. It's like, okay, that's obviously Australian. Some like spider attacking a dog or something, right?
Proof enough.
And then the other side of it would be maybe in Florida or where you are now, because you're not in Florida anymore, if I'm correct.
That's right.
That maybe there's a sister city, right? I don't know if Australia does sister cities. I know like near to me there's a Japanese and a German sister city, right? Maybe even a Russian one. I don't know if there are any Australian ones, right? It might be too much. I don't know.
I mean, Australia is not a city. But
No, but sister cities of Australia nearby you. Like
Oh, okay,
you think
gotcha.
you like say Melbourne. How do you say the Florida town?
Yeah, Halle in Germany is the sister city of Savannah, Georgia, and they
Yes,
like do
right.
exchange with fire departments and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and university and things
Okay.
like that. No, I understand. I get it.
I don't know.
So anyway, I just want somebody who's going to do more than
Yeah.
me, because I'm going to go in there and talk about how alligators are awesome, but you don't have alligators; you got crocodiles. What do I know?
That might be the funny part of it. I've had a thing where I have last week I was too crazy. There's too much going on. I'm going to try to, and I don't know if I'll be able to make this work, but to write something every week, but then figure out where to put it in Den, right? Just as something to get more actively, other than just commenting on stuff that's already in there. But we'll see how it goes. All right. Maybe it'll be anonymous occasionally, and then
Yeah, well, this is the first meeting of the year, so resolution wise, that's something that I've thought about too. I want to take a couple of evenings every week just to do more Den stuff. I've been so caught up. I had a big move, and I was just doing all kinds of stuff, new stuff going on. But I've got all my stuff up and running again. I've got my nodes all running again. I've got my Dragon Chain nodes all healthy again. I've got my Monero and Bitcoin nodes going both ways, contributing to the network, stuff like that. So I feel like I'm back in the groove again, doing the thing. So part of that can be mining on Den with, I won't say it's quality content, but put something in there. So anyway, there's the offer for Australia. Let's get back to what we were talking about.
Yes.
Housekeeping, stuff like, default tags. Should we have different default tags? Should we look into removing some excess tags that we thought were going to be a good idea that aren't? Should we yada, yada, yada? Should we pass any DENDAO votes, that we've been thinking about, whatever.
Right.
Speaking of that, let's look at governance. I've got that pulled up somewhere. If you don't look into governance very often, you should. There's a hammer here, and part of owning the lot is that you should occasionally put the hammer down. So Joe,
yes,
4 hours ago,
you need to vote on this one.
Proposed. So this is for World Blockchain Roundtables layer for that show. And the proposal is to change the current events segment to current events and memes. I will say, I've got a big fresh bucket of memes.
See, we can bring them in.
One of my nodes that I got running again was my I2P node, my router for the Invisible Internet project.
Ah, okay.
And I had to test it to make sure it was working. So of course, the first thing I did was go find some juicy torrents to make sure that all worked. And I downloaded a giant dank memes 2023 archive of all the dankest memes. And I haven't gone through them all yet, but some of them are pretty spicy.
That's nice. You have to share those. Here's a question I had. Obviously on the show, I can share them. And it's a little bit clunky because I have to share the tabs, and because my stupid video device by video card tends to crash my machine.
Mine stopped doing that, by the way. If it's an NVIDIA thing, mine self-healed. I think somebody found and pushed an update. So you might update and see what happens.
I'll do an update. That's a good idea. Are you using the proprietary drivers?
Yeah, it's NVIDIA.
I switched back, so I'm gonna. So I'll do that. Okay, sweet.
If you use Linux and you have an NVIDIA GPU, use the proprietary drivers. I'm a big fan of open source, but theirs ain't gonna work for you.
I think I need to get an AMD card in the end. But either way, so that's there. So I could do it straight on the roundtable that way. It would be awesome if we could post more of a gallery in a reply, because then we could say, hey, provide some yourself, provide as many memes as you want. That's part of the, we'll go through them, right? But as of now, that's not in there. You can only do one image per reply.
Well, you could do, you could lean into the way DIN works and do like memeception, a reply to a reply to a reply to a reply. And so like deepest, dankest memes, the longest deepest
True.
reply, because we do have under the hood, there is a depth database metric thing.
That could be cool. It could, yeah, you're right. It could be it's like, hey, here's a meme. And you reply to something either similar or it's almost like a counterpoint, like it's music, right? So it's going to be like, oh, there's an answer to that one, an answer to that one. You get a thread.
And in a way, you're kind of voting for the OP's meme if you nest it under theirs.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you would just create your own reply so that you could say, no, my meme. People should vote, put their memes under my meme to vote for mine.
Yep.
That could be a way to do it.
Yep.
So I of course, I'm going to vote yes on this. And look, I haven't been there for a while. This is interesting. So I used to be right there with everybody because I was on every single episode. And this is an example of what we've talked about before, where, and it's more interesting than you might think, or that some might think, because one of the issues that I hear talked about all the time with all kinds of projects are, what do you call it? Like early adopters getting an unfair or an undue share of influence on a project, right? Which is true. It's also true that that's the incentive for solving the cold start problem, where like, okay, before it actually is doing great or anybody cares about it, these people were here to help build it. So yeah, they get more. That conversation aside, what happens whenever you reward participation like this is that you have to stay active to maintain your same percentage. And so since I haven't been on the show for a while, I'm down to 8%, which I think is perfectly illustrating how that works. And it should work that way, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I'm at 14.69. And I used to be pretty high. And Greg even is above me on the roundtable. So he's
Greg's
like 15
there.
or 16 something. So it's amazing. It's awesome.
I've noticed that about Greg. If you happen to get Greg's, I forget the name of this calendar scheduling thing, but if you happen to get his URL for his like calendar scheduling app, if you schedule him for something, he'll show up. If it's open on his calendar, he'll be there. He just has to be reminded. He will forget, but if it's on there, he'll show up. So let's check real quick for DENDAO and
nothing there. I just checked too.
Okay, cool. So anyway,
by the way, I did bring up on the show today that, and I will say, Greg, speaking of Greg, great actor for someone in the Midwest. It was hilarious. I brought up that we had a special reason that the New York City tunnels were such an issue that we had apparently lost John, who was our official full-time MC.
What do you say about the tunnels?
I assumed that he went into the tunnels, and Greg looked really upset, and I was like, I had to break because I'm like, oh no, I'm joking, right? So he knew.
Oh, he was doing it straight the whole time. I missed that.
Yeah,
I missed that segment.
Anyway,
what was the answer today? Anyway, how many do we need?
I think it was consensus that it's as many as we need. Right, depends on what we want to do and as many as we need.
That's probably the right answer. Depends on what you're doing with it.
Yep, and it's great because in all truth, we had the four of us on, and it was very different contexts. Both from you think about it from the money side, you think about it from the utility side, you think about it from the variety side. There was there are a lot of answers that are somewhat the same end result, but they're different reasons. Pretty cool. So, shortcut of small house items.
Short list.
Yes, short list. I'm very tired. I didn't get enough sleep last night, so
I slept like a baby. I dreamed I was back in the Navy on a ship. That's how well I slept.
Wow.
All right. So I just want to put these here just to show our work. Clean up and publish metrics link.
And even if there's a mistake in the metrics, we'll learn about it. That's the whole point of this, So we'll get them out. People start looking at them, saying, "Hey, could we get more detail here?" Or whatever makes sense. I can imagine certain people, certain denizens will, delve into them and figure out where, and that's the other thing I think too, potentially to pull up issues where somebody might be, they found a hole and haven't reported it, right?
Mhm.
Who knows? Right?
Yeah, we saw a little bit of that in the past too, and this won't be as in depth as those sort of trial runs were. But yeah, this just needs to talk to our lead dev. He said that it's pretty easy once we have the query to get it to where it's exposed to the website as a way to, like a link to download it.
Will it be a link from the payouts report area, or will it just be a Den.Social / something? Do you remember?
Yeah, it'll be a Den.Social / something, like a web directory or something like that. You know what I mean? So make sure site-wide tags are there for all layers. What else did we say? Easy stuff that we can make sure is sort of like in getting the house in order before guests come over. I know. So Ethereum lot catch-up.
Oh yes, yeah.
That's a big one. And that's easy enough. I think. So there's a good 3.
Yeah.
Because we have we're a few months behind on typically every month. Whenever layers are created, you have Ethereum side minted at the same time. If there is an issue where it's too expensive for fees, there's no real pressing thing. So sometimes it's delayed. Sometimes I'm moving and I don't do it. So
well, and frankly, it's almost like one of those things where it's almost not needed, depending. I mean, the only reason it's needed is because there's not a way inside of Den to trade. There's a way to transfer a tip so you can trade on your own, but there's no way to like say, oh, I want to sell some of these, or I want to trade some of these.
It's a conversation you have to have person to person and sort of ad hoc do it yourself. There's not an integrated way to do it.
All of the lot that I've ever, not that I trade a lot or anything else, but when I give somebody some, because hey, you're posting a lot in the history layer or something, so here's a few thousand or whatever lot. It's always, of course, all entirely inside of Den itself, so I don't need to export them and spend fees on Ethereum and go to go over to an NFT marketplace and do stuff. I just do it here. It would be nice if we could trade them here internally, but or natively, but maybe that'll come.
Can we so this is probably outside the scope of this. It's an additional separate thing, but I would like pretty high up on my wish list is I want to move our what's it called? I want to move our lot tracking engine over to the one that Dragon Chain is using now.
The new one. Yeah.
New one?
I can't remember how we're doing it right now.
So Den is using the original one.
Yeah. And
which isn't
flaky because of Ethereum. I'll tell you, it's Ethereum, and it's the interfaces just they don't do what the contract, the service contract says.
But the one that Dragon Chain is using now, the new one that is tracking Ethereum tokens, works great. And actually the one that Sticky DAO is using, which is I think also separate. So there's 3 systems. Yeah. And I think we should at some point, like I know it's not the priority right now. There's definitely other things to work on instead of that. But somewhere along the line, I think consolidating or getting just to that one system because it's so much better.
And you're talking for Den lot.
For Den lot.
Yeah.
For Den lot.
Go ahead and put that on there. I mean, I could at least talk to them about that. And we can use it. Trains.
That's me. Yeah. What do you call it? Den lot tracking?
Yeah.
To the new system that Dragon Chain is using for time.
And that's the other thing too. Decentralization we know is long vision, but part of that could allow us to do the I don't know if I would say peer to peer, but the trading essentially, or the ability to say, hey, I want to get involved in that community, so I want some of this, and I'm going to trade you some of that, right? And that could be pretty amazing. You'd be using Matter to buy existing lot, right? So
I had this. So this is the last unrelated thing that I'll say before I stop going off on side conversations. But I had this idea because I'm trying to figure out things to do with these other networks, right? So I mentioned like I have the I2P node running, and it's pretty cool. Like it's great for you can run like an IRC server. There's chat rooms where you can like talk to people and nobody knows who each other is, so you're not getting tracked or any of that, which is pretty awesome. And they make it really easy to run your own website. You don't need necessarily like approval from the DNS gods, to be somewhere. And I was thinking, man, what if I and simultaneously I want to learn some more about specific types of programming, database stuff. And so I was thinking, what if I made like a Den style website over on I2P, call it Reden or something, and just use Matter. I got a ton of Matter, and I could just say like, just as an experiment, what if you had to spend Matter to actually post? What if it wasn't free? What if you actually had to spend Matter, not energy, but each post required Matter, or something like that?
It would be good. It would be a good and noble experiment.
Yeah.
I wonder that too. Would it work? Would it, would people just, never post anything, or would the quality be better? I don't know.
Yeah. And it's such a small network that like the problem that I've seen other people launch, even like darknet markets and stuff that launched on I2P, they closed it because of lack of use. So it's such a small network where I feel like a Den type thing would be really popular because there's nothing like that over there. Anyway, just some personal ramblings.
And I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to do something that would be and to fit it into Den, or something else. That I keep seeing reasons that we need a better way to post topic-based info, which I guess is what Den is anyway. It's just more static or less conversational, right? If there's
we cast a pretty large net, pretty wide net on like the types. Like, of course, everyone's welcome, right? But it wasn't as focused as like you go on some other smaller, even like linuxquestions.org or HVAC Talk, and there's a very specific community there, and they're all there talking about one thing. And so I wonder if not a lack of focus, but sort of a lack of focus on a particular community spreads things out to where there's not typically, I talked a minute ago about that depth indicator on the threads. There's not typically a lot of long form conversations. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So there's articles and there's informational stuff. And congratulations, by the way, on the good catch to Aniri 21. I don't think I've met you yet. So, there's Fishing Layer has people fishing and showing what they've caught, which is great. But there aren't these, even in the politics layer, conversations, even with the layers that have anonymity turned on, where you don't have to say who you are. Typically there's, a couple of replies, and then it's just like, there's not a ton of depth.
Yeah.
Which I would like to see, but that's a lot to ask for as well, Yeah.
Yeah. It's more than anything, just people with time, right? So it's hard.
Anybody got time for that? Speaking of memes. All right. this is a good list. This is enough to chew on for sure.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yes, good point. I think so. I mean, there's some small things that I wanted to look at, but generally, it's all the same. Where we need more resources first of all, and we need to get done what we can get done, and bring in who we can bring in, and all the rest.
Yeah, I tried to only put, well, except for the lot tracking, I tried to only put things on here that I can directly help with, resource wise, time wise. I'm not trying to load down the existing workload.
Yeah. I don't know. We're getting back into it. It's New Year, so it's all good.
Yes, it is. Cool. So what else? Let me post this.
Here.
I'll just say okay, so that's in the notes. Let me refresh this in case anybody threw something in while we were chatting with ourselves. Oop, nope. Cool. So that's it. That was the agenda. There's some reminders. Is there anything else before we just read a list of reminders?
I think so. I think we're good.
All right, go vote on the LCP. Like I said, there's 4 days left. You can vote with your internal lore for no fee, or if you're a masochist, you can still vote with MetaMask and spend Ethereum fees to vote without even well, what I say? You can spend some money if you want to, but you don't have to. It's totally free.
Yes.
So World Blockchain Roundtable. I hear a rumor that there's going to be more memes involved coming up pretty soon. I know Sean would probably like that. I don't know if he still does his.
I think he does.
Meme
I saw one
roundup
like 2 weeks ago. So
yeah,
maybe
good.
2 weeks ago. Something. Yeah.
Good. So hopefully he can get involved with that too. I will. I guess post. I don't want to just blindly post an archive of memes that I haven't reviewed because there could be some like bad stuff in there. I have no idea, but I'll go through and I'll start posting the better ones to the memes layer, maybe the World Blockchain layer to remind people to vote. But that is in the World Blockchain Roundtable layer. You can keep up with what the upcoming topics are going to be. You can vote on the new topics. You can propose new topics in that layer. Super Happy Dragon Lucky is hosted in the Dragon Chain layer. You can do similar things in there, post questions, ask Joe things that he can answer for you in the Dragon Chain layer specific to that topic. And then there's Coffee with Den, which is actually on hold right now, and it is not hosted, and it was only briefly hosted in the Den layer. So this is out of date for our DENDAO template. If you go to the Coffee with Den layer, you'll see that it's on hold. That's because I didn't have time for it. So we'll see what happens in 24. And then this call, the DENDAO layer, is hosted in the DENDAO. I'm sorry, the DENDAO call is hosted in the DENDAO layer twice a month. It goes kind of like today did. More administrative, talking about housekeeping stuff and what we need to do to keep the thing running and to promote all the things. Backing up a step, what do you think about Coffee with Den being like a text-based thing, going to like an article-based, like even to the point where I was thinking, why don't I just flex the chat room? We have a chat room. Why couldn't we just say, hey, on this day of the week at this time, we're just going to generally meet up and chat, just like old times,
That'd be all right.
just like IRC, just like, hey, we're going to, here's our meetup time, sit down, pop in. Hey, I'm here. Who's here? And it doesn't have to be a show. It doesn't have to be anything other than getting together and meeting and chatting about Den stuff or whatever we want to talk about, having coffee together. So I was thinking about that as a way to make it sustainable and reliable.
Mm-hmm. I think it would work. I think it would work very well.
We can
right?
share links in there. We can, all kinds of stuff. And it might end up being like it's a different flavor of a meetup, right?
Uh-huh.
And it might end up being a better or a more involved meetup than it would be just like talking heads and interacting vocally.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I was thinking about for Coffee with Den. I think when it comes back, that it might more resemble that than getting on StreamYard and seeing if people want to join the call, because that's a lot to ask too, people's time.
Yeah. And, for me, late at night, it was always the issue. I was never on there, even though I wanted to be. So,
yeah. And then like afterwards, I could just copy and paste, post the chat log. And each individual, if you're a DragonNet node runner, each individual message in the chat room is a DragonNet transaction. Yeah. So I'm kind of paying myself by making everybody chat in the chat room.
Yeah. That's great. That's good.
All right. So there's my thoughts on that. Cool. So that wraps today's call. Thanks for popping in, Joe. And I think those 4 items, even if I just get the top 3 done, that'll be great. I think everybody wants to see some progress too. Holidays are over. Can't use that excuse anymore. I'm not moving anymore. I'm settled in. Can't use that excuse anymore. And I'm pretty burned out on Starfield, so I can't use that excuse anymore. I guess I got to do some work.
It's all good. It's all good. This year's going to be interesting. I do think. I hope.
I think so. Yeah. And last thing, post as you find them political advertisements into the election 2024 layer. I'm curious what kind of ads. It'd be like just as a collection, as a place to put the ads, maybe discuss them if we're lucky. But we support YouTube links, and they're all on YouTube, so throw them in there.
Yep. No, that's awesome. Okay.
Cool. All right. Here is a song by Y'all Weird that I don't know if it was DENDAO or a DENDAO member personally purchased the rights to in the form of an NFT. It was the rights were sold as NFT, which is awesome. Doing it right. It's called Into the Dragon, and it sounds like this. See you next time.
Bye.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best. Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A doctrinal approach is palpable if this animal is fallible. But that conclusion is laughable, so if we're all detachable from the mandible, you see it now?